Hello, everyone. I'm Natalia Bilbao, and here's what's happening in LA this week. Los Angeles is on track to join cities like New York and San Francisco in the creation of a city department dedicated to youth. Mayor Eric Garcetti and Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez joined forces with more than 50 youth groups for the announcement.
This is a historic day. My budget will include, for the first time in decades, a youth development department for the city of Los Angeles.
Es un día muy especial. Hemos estado luchando para agarrar un departamento para la juventud por un largo tiempo.
Los Angeles is the only large city in the country that doesn't have a dedicated department for youth, and it actually invests a lot less money of its general fund into youth programmings versus cities like San Francisco, New York, Oakland. So this historic day, now it's just getting the department approved by the city council and getting the department up and running, and to hear from the young people.
My age is not a setback. It is not a number you can use to set me off my track, to stop me from pushing policy, to stop me from dismantling fallacies.
It's just an incredible privilege to be in a position to align myself with their work because I know how powerful they are. They've led movements around the world, and to pretend that we don't hear them is wrong. As representatives, their voices matter, and they need to be reflected in the city budget and in our work just as much as any other interest group in the city of Los Angeles.
Listen to the youth and show us you care. We are the now and the future.
We did it! Yeah, we did it!
Public officials from as far as Irvine converged in Koreatown recently. They rallied with community residents to lend their voice against Asian hate crimes. Take a look.
Atacando, haciendo cosas racistas a nuestras comunidades AAPI. Entonces nosotros lo que estamos haciendo es, vamos a lucharlo, ya no lo toleramos, que pare ahora y siempre, y es lo que estamos haciendo ahora con la marcha.
Joined by the city and all these people behind me, because we want to make sure that this moment doesn't get lost. That, that we share our anger and frustration over what's happening, around the country. And that saying that it's not okay, and that we need to keep this momentum going to make real change.
We will not stand for scapegoating of any population or demographic. Hate has no place in the city of Los Angeles or anywhere else.
Here representing not only Orange County, but Asian American elected leaders throughout Southern California, and especially as a Korean American woman myself, and as an elected leader, it is so important to come here and show solidarity with the rest of the community here in the greater Southern California area to condemn hate, anti-Asian hate and violence against our community.
I came here to bring awareness in this country, especially right now, so many things going on. So as Asian, I want to represent our community, so especially my grandma.
This is a reminder that we still have a long way to go in this country until everybody is treated equally and with equity and respectfully. And here in Los Angeles, we want to lead in sending that message and to make sure that we come together, everybody of every background in Los Angeles, in support of the AAPI community.
Councilmember Paul Krikorian and actor John Cryer were on hand to introduce the newest tiny home village in District 2. The Bridge Shelter community is a welcome opportunity for some Angelinos who have been living on the street.
Every day is special when you get to come to the tiny home village here and we see the incredible work that's been done in putting up these homes and the incredible work that Hope of the Valley does every day in changing the lives of the people who are living in these homes.
No tenía yo una esperanza, no tenía esperanza. Yo pensé que ya yo me iba a quedar en la calle para siempre. Vino una señora de Hope Valley y me enseñó que este lugar era para nosotros y que era para ayudarnos a poder arreglar nuestras vidas.
Este programa es el primer Tiny Homes proyecto en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Tenemos 39 casitas pequeñas a donde pueden vivir personas que están sin hogar, que han estado viviendo en la calle.
Myself and our CFO, Rowan Van Sleeve, we started a 125-mile ultra marathon with the goal to actually end homelessness. And so what we're doing is we're trying to raise money to help with this shelter, other shelters. We'll be opening up 5 different ones in the next 8 months. And so this is our way of putting our body to the test and getting people to support us through donations.
And these tiny home villages create a respite for people who haven't had any respite in a very long time. It creates an opportunity for them to sleep in a place that's air conditioned, that has ventilation, that has protection from the elements, that has heating when it's cold, and perhaps most importantly of all, it has a lock on the door.
We're hoping to get out the word that there is a really safe place for them, and we hope that they will give us their trust and allow us to offer whatever help we can.
Concrete was recently poured on what the LA Bureau of Engineering is calling the ribbon of life. City engineer Gary Lee Moore was excited to give us a peek of how an 80-year-old LA roadway gets a makeover.
We're standing on the deck of the new 6th Street Viaduct. And this new viaduct, or we call it a bridge, is 3,500 feet long, and it's replacing a bridge that was built over 80 years ago. We call it the ribbon of life, and that's because it has 10 pairs of arches, and they range in height from 30 feet to 60 feet. How much concrete it takes to fill up 2 30-foot high arches on the 6th Street Viaduct, I'm here to tell you it's 260 cubic yards of concrete. That's 65 concrete trucks. As we poured the first arch today, the next arch is only a few weeks away from being poured, and then the next arch is only a few weeks away from that. You're going to be able to bike in these new 10-foot bike lanes. You're going to be able to walk on these wider sidewalks. And what's really fun is you're going to have great traveling in your car. It's going to be safe, and that's what it's all about. We're going to complete this project in summer of 2022.
Ready for your short distance free ride courtesy of the LA Department of Water and Power? Well, if you live in Leimert Park, they've got you covered. Check this out.
The electric vehicles in Leimert Park are being sponsored by LADWP. They're circuit shuttles. They're all electric, zero-emission vehicles that are providing free rides for the public. These are short distance rides for things like local errands, or if you want to connect to mass transit to go farther, it's perfect for that. It's really within a specific coverage area. This is a pilot program that is a part of the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator's Zero Emission Mobility and Community Pilot Project Fund. The mission of that is to bring the green economy benefits to neighborhoods that historically lacked access and resources, but have bared the burden of poor air quality. Local area mobility is very important because, a lot of the rides that we take, whether it's to the grocery store or to the local post office, are under 2 miles. So by using this electric rideshare mobility option, we can not only reduce the emissions that go into the air, but also the congestion on our roads. EVs are the future, especially in California. We have a number of aggressive goals, both at the state and city level, to get us to a cleaner, more sustainable, zero-emission future. Anyone that lives, works, breathes in Los Angeles benefits from electric transportation.
Well, the COVID-19 vaccines are here. In LA, we can't vaccinate residents fast enough. But that doesn't mean that the everyday needs of communities are suddenly over. So in this week's LA Gives Back, LAPD Rampart Division and Team Cedillo held an event offering boxes of groceries and mental health support.
A lot of families, due to the pandemic going on, have depression. A lot of families are struggling financially. They're struggling to have food in their table, and there's a lot of things that they're going through at this very moment. So we came here today and this morning and in this day, and what we're doing is we're providing a team of support for those that have depression, and we're also going to be handing out food. We're going to have vegetables, canned foods. We're going to be having masks. We're going to have hygiene kits.
I think it's amazing that all the help that's being granted for all these people in the community. I feel like this pandemic has caused a lot of depression, and this community, especially low-income communities, need that help from all these organizations.
It's very hard right now for everybody with jobs being short, a lot of food places closing. We want to support the community here, and that's what we're doing.
Es una gran bendición para todos, para mí, porque yo es la primera vez que vengo y desde que empezó la pandemia a mí nadie me ha regalado pero ni un penny, entonces esto me siento bendecida. Estoy como feliz porque digo, es la primera vez que voy a agarrar algo que me van a regalar para comer, pues, porque...
The Los Angeles Public Library extends its hours and services. LADWP is calling for submissions to its Community Partnership Grants program, and students are tapped to create artwork for Metro's PIN project. These stories up next on City Beat.
The Los Angeles Public Library is expanding the hours for its Library to Go program. Now library patrons can make an appointment to pick up materials from tables outside the libraries from 12:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. The service is currently available at more than 24 locations. The library also launched a free remote wireless printing service that allows patrons to print up to 10 pages of content a day. The changes are a part of the library's incremental steps moving closer to reopening to the public. Grant applications are open for LADWP's Community Partnership Outreach Grants program. The program provides grants to nonprofit organizations who vigorously support the City of Los Angeles' goals of sustainability. The competitive grants are awarded to one 501c3 nonprofit organization in each of Los Angeles' 15 council districts in Phase 1. Grants in Phase 2 focus on the special categories of water conservation, water quality, community solar, and underrepresented program areas. In Round 8 of Phase 2, Outreach and Education is open. The deadline for submitting the application is Friday, April 16th by 3:30 p.m., so act now. For more information, visit ladwp.com/NP. Metro is producing commemorative pins for their Crenshaw LAX Transit project, and they have invited high school student artists to submit their art. Metro is looking for student artwork celebrating the unique character of the Crenshaw district. This contest is open to high school students only, grades 9 through 12, with 1 entry per student. All entries must be received by Monday, May 24th. For more details, go to metro.net and check out the Projects tab.
While Los Angeles is surrounded by a number of ports, most of us don't really think of how susceptible they are to tsunamis. Well, Anna Burton, the Emergency Management Coordinator for the Port of LA, speaks to Maria Hall Brown on the port's plan of action in the event of such an emergency.
One of the most important parts of Los Angeles is in fact on our shores. It's the Port of Los Angeles. How will that be affected if a tsunami comes our way, and what should we do? Well, I'm delighted to be joined now by Anna Burton, who is the Emergency Management Coordinator for the Port of Los Angeles. So nice to have you here. And the port is a huge part of our coast.
It absolutely is. The Port of Los Angeles, which is a dual agency complex port between Los Angeles and Long Beach, is really one of the primary economic hubs. It's actually the largest container port for the past 20 years. So we're very proud of what we do.
So you're very highly, keenly aware of what a tsunami could do to the Port of Los Angeles. So where are you in terms of preparedness, and what is done down there that might be different from just the average resident or tourist?
So I think because the port, we have connections around the world with various other ports who are very aware of the impact of a tsunami, have experienced it, and we plan and we train together. So one of the key things is to make sure we know who all our partners are. And the port, because of its location, its operations, we have a number of agencies that we work with on a daily basis. We're very lucky to have our Coast Guard as one of our key partners. And we work very closely with our Long Beach partners on how to prepare for a tsunami. And it's not just a tsunami as we would look for you and I, it's really operational. What would a tsunami do to the port?
Yes.
So what we do is, of course, the first thing is plan. And it's never just the plan, it's the planning process. Who do you bring in? What do you talk about? What plans do you have? When have you updated them? Who's involved? And most importantly, like we've talked about, is how do you get the messaging out? The correct message at the right time with the right information will help all of those individual agencies make their own individual decisions, which impacts how we respond together.
What's the economic impact of something happening down at the port? I mean, I know there's a lot of, because we're talking tsunamis, and there's a lot of buzz about tsunamis in this particular point in time because it's, tsunami awareness time. But there's an enormous economic impact if anything happens down at the port.
That's a huge impact, and we have a huge team at our highest executive level, Jean Soroka. We proudly put out we are open and operational on a daily basis. And if we're not, that has significant impact. But again, it depends on the month, the time, the day, and if there's damage, how quickly can we recover and get the ships moving. And it's an entire, it's that wheel of you have the ship, you have rail, you have transit, you have the truck lines, the roadways, the bridges, the thoroughfares. Everything has to be working in a very coordinated way to make sure that we get the commerce in and out as safely as possible.
Thank you so much, Anna. This has been such a great opportunity to learn so many things that I had no clue about, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
All right.
With film production slowly coming back to Los Angeles due to the pandemic, an important cog in that machine is also gearing up to help cameras get rolling again. We spoke to Paul Otley of Film LA, who assures us productions will be well educated to manage filming despite COVID-19 still being around.
So Film LA is a not-for-profit organization that was created more than 25 years ago when the city and county merged their film offices to manage the film permit process for them. Film LA now represents multiple cities in the county as well as several school districts as their film office. Last year, on March 12th, we shut down the office and furloughed most of the staff, recognizing that the film industry would not function. And Film LA is funded with no government money, so it depends on activity levels in order to have a budget. When filming started to trickle back in June, we began to bring employees back in and help the industry get going again. But came back pretty heavy in February, representing over 75% of normal permit volume in February. A lot of people have questions about how to operate in the COVID environment. And so on our webpage, there is a whole series of questions and answers and documents that people can refer to on the COVID-19 resource page. It includes the county's document called Appendix J and references to the industry's agreements about how to operate. We're also now debuting and in test mode with some of our customers, a brand new permit system, which will include geographic information systems, a joint financial record system, and a really newly streamlined version of what's been called OPS, or the permit system. And we do a lot of public education, both of the industry and community, to make sure that filmmaking is positive in Los Angeles. We're very excited about the future as filming returns as an economic driver for Los Angeles.
In honor of Women's History Month, we spoke with two LA City employees who have risen through the ranks of their respective departments. Margaret Stewart found a third career as an LA firefighter, and Superintendent Sylvia Torres broke stereotypes about what is seen as man's work. Check out their stories.
Being a firefighter was a third career for me. It was my initial pathway. I had mentors that I looked at in terms of fulfilling their passion. What was it they were passionate about, and what did they do? And so those kinds of things encouraged me to follow what I found passion in. And that's why I ended up changing careers, feeling like it mattered what I did, being a part of the team, having that mission that helped the public. I missed that. And so kind of using those guides that my mentors had set up for me is what brought me into the field of firefighting. I'm currently assigned as the A-Shift Public Service Officer. So we work out of our 911 dispatch center, and we provide public and media alerts regarding any significant incident. One of the misconceptions is that we're kind of waiting around, sitting around watching TV, waiting for the phone to ring or the tones to go off. While there are days where we're out on unbelievable incidents that you remember for a lifetime, the majority of what we do is running medical calls and fire calls that may not seem extraordinary, but for the person involved that day it is. Being confident that you're making the choices based on what's right for you. For me, becoming a firefighter, while it seemed odd to many people, I knew that it was the right choice for me. I think that's a lifelong challenge. It's just being confident in knowing what you want and being willing to go for it.
We have over 200,000 lights that the city has functioning. We have over 400 styles of lights. We maintain the lights. Construction-wise, I make sure that streets that do not have any lights, we install brand new lights. I'm also in charge of the LED program, which is upgrading the old yellow lights with a newer white light that is more efficient, less wattage, so it uses less power. Como un estudiante, y pude subir de grado a llegar a mi posición. Comencé siendo estudiante, después fui asistente electricista, después fui electricista, después supervisora, ahora soy superintendente. This is a role, a type of a job that we do not have hardly any women in it. So trying to show the people, having them give me the opportunity to show to them that I could go ahead and be able to do the work. It was kind of rough in the beginning. A lot of people did not believe being that I'm a woman, because the type of work that we do here, we do a lot of jackhammering, we dig a lot of holes, very manpower type of a work. So that was one of the hurdles, just give me a chance. I think I can do it. And it's a wonderful job that I have. Working for street lighting and being part of street lighting is one of the greatest things I can say that I have done.
As workers and breadwinners, women can do just as good a job as men. We all know that one, right? And yet disparities will exist on pay equity and public policy. Councilwomen Nithya Raman and Monica Rodriguez dropped by Channel 35 to remind us that the whole point of Women's History Month is that we still have work to do.
Hi, I'm Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez from the 7th District.
And I'm Councilwoman Nithya Raman from the 4th District. I stepped up to run for office because I was inspired by young people stepping up to make change right now.
For me, it's about reminding everybody that their voice matters, that activism doesn't begin at a certain age, and it certainly doesn't begin when you're 18 years old.
I think what, for me, this particular Women's Heritage Month has drawn attention to is really this sense of let's not forget the lessons of this moment, and let's make sure that in a year's time and in 10 years' time, that we're not still putting these barriers in women's paths as they're trying to work outside of the home, as they're trying to have balanced childcare and their professional lives, as they're trying to dig themselves out of poverty. Let us take away the barriers that I know a more active and more thoughtful government infrastructure can do.
To have perceived that gender roles had really transformed substantially, that notion was killed during this pandemic. Women retained that primary responsibility of being the caretaker, having to manage all those things. And that's why we saw such an attrition of women in the workforce. But I think to underscore Nithia's point, we need to fund universal childcare and make it equitably accessible for trusted sources. Women need to know that their children are going to be cared for and that they're going to not have to be forced into a position of making the decision of either being able to go to work and how to manage that and offset with childcare costs. It makes it very difficult for women to remain in these positions and continue to advance.
The unspoken burdens that women carry, all of those have become apparent now.
Women are still not making the equivalent, dollar for dollar earnings. We Latinas are still substantially, 63 cents to the dollar of what their male counterparts earn. Those are some of the huge disparities that we still need to work past. And this is why I've had a majority women staff. I've got 80% of my staff is comprised of women. 100% of my leadership team are women. And it's because we need to continue to advance that work and creating opportunities for women to lead.
We can't go back to what was there before this moment. We can only move forward. And I think we have to hold on to those lessons and make sure that we're fighting for that change going forward.
Join the Chinese American Museum as they welcome the Year of the Ox. The celebration will feature an online exhibition of 14 Asian American artists from throughout the nation. Guest curated by Albert Chow of Grumpy Bert, the exhibition commemorates the metal ox, an animal symbolically known for strength and resilience. Be sure to check out Chinese American Museum's The Year of the Metal Ox. It's online now through June 6th. For details, visit exhibitions.camla.org. Log on for a discussion of George Takei's graphic memoir, They Called Us Enemy. The memoir tells the story of Takei's imprisonment in a World War II Japanese-American concentration camp. This LA-made program will include an intergenerational conversation on racial injustice and reconciliation. LA-Made's They Call Us Enemy programming lands on the YouTube and Facebook pages for the LA Public Library Thursday, April 15th at 4 p.m. For more information, visit lapl.org/events. Are you ready to dust off your grill and make some barbecue? Join Fremont Branch Library for Fremont Foodies Soul Food Edition. Pitmaster Calvin Thomas and his wife Carol will be teaching the secrets of barbecuing ribs. They will even share a family recipe for barbecue beans with the class. Don't miss out on Fremont Foodies Soul Food Edition, happening Friday, April 16th at 3 p.m. For more information, visit lapl.org/events. And that's a look at some virtual things to do.
And that's it for this edition. I'm Natalia Bilbao, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thank you so much for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org, and we're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more LA This Week.